Hi Emma, so here is what we're calling C2, Concept 2, also dealing with the folded garment and basket storage, which is area 1 that you gave me to look at. Just keep trying to sort of show you what we can do with this software. Remember, we can do a Teams call and do screen sharing. That might be useful as we get into the detail, and perhaps easier to show colleagues what we're doing as well. I have a terrible tendency to sort of flit around and make models spin continually, so if I'm doing that in these videos, apologies now. I've spent most of my life looking at 3D models, and I tend to sort of go quicker than most people can cope with. Right, so C1 I didn't mention. Now, my normal pricing formula is retail plus 70% for a full design, supply and install service. This, if we do all of it, it's going to be a big project. I'm probably going to have to stay at least one night to install over 2 days. It's designed for DIY install, you can do that, but there will be scope to do a deal. So what I'm going to be quoting you is the retail and the plus 70%. So C1, which was just baskets in towers, the retail cost of that is 1,600-ish, and plus 70% is 2,700-ish. And we're going to keep saying ish until we get to final designs. This is just an early guide of where we're at in terms of money. Right, let's get into concept 2. This is wall mounted, so we have again, trying not to flit around and make you feel sick. Right at the top here we have a mounting track. Now that can carry any load that we can put on this wall. I'm not going to design and supply anything that falls off the wall. Don't worry about the technical details. We have gliding baskets at the bottom. I know I'm flitting about here, sorry for that. These sit on runners, so that can be supplied as a nice perforated white sheet mesh, or as wire sort of baskets, about a 1-inch square. My CAD models are sort of halfway between the two, so it neither looks like one thing or the other, but I can show you decent photos of both options. The mesh is quite delicate, it's very pretty, most people like it for sort of wardrobes and things like that. For a commercial setting, I think I'd be steering you towards the wire. It's a bit tougher, a bit more rigid, but again, I know appearance matters where you're working, so perhaps the mesh is an option. We can get into that later. I'm pricing for mesh. So unlike the towers in C1, these are on runners. They're going to feel, you know, nice as you pull them out. It's a nice smooth action, nicely engineered. You have columns of 3 medium baskets and 1 small basket there, depth wise. Above that we have what Alpha call a basket shelf. Now it's a wire shelf with this 100mm upstand here, this lip, and they also supply end caps and dividers, this translucent rectangle here, transparent rather. These can be moved around, so you can subdivide these drawers up. It's really good for smaller folded items. My clients tend to use them for sportswear, you know, vest tops, stuff like that, small stuff. You know, these are good for, you know, all sorts of folded items and underwear. There's also a deeper version that I'm showing here, but this is kind of a good halfway house between a shelf and a basket. The downside of this shelf basket is that you lose some storage volume by this gap here. You need to be able to reach in at the front and get whatever it is you're storing, and providing that reaching in space loses you some storage volume. So good product, but there's a consideration there. Now as we go higher up, I'm showing flat wire shelves, and these are movable divisions, so very good for woolens and bulkier folded items. And you know, again, I'm having to sort of modify my thoughts to a commercial setting. You could stack up any kind of folded cloth in here, but as I'm sure you know, tall stacks of 30 or 40 folded items, they don't stay folded, they get messy. So it works well for woolens and things like that. If you had lots and lots of folded items, they're probably better contained in a basket. Most of what I'm showing you here can be applied to all other areas of the studio and all other settings. So where I'm showing baskets here, we could have shoe racks. On other designs where I'm showing freestanding shelves or shoe racks, we could have baskets. It can all be mixed up. The system works pretty much, we can do whatever you need to do, freestanding or mounted on the wall. Right, that's enough amateurish blithering for another video. Let's move on to C2. Cost of C2, the one we're looking at now. I'll put all this down on paper. Retail about 2,500. Retail plus 70%, just under 3,500. Okay, that's for me to design, supply and install. If you want to install this yourself, we can come up with a number for that.